Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome dear learners. I am Dr. Manisha Goswami, working as an assistant professor at the Institute of Business Management, GLA University. Today we are going to start with our 14th lecture, and this lecture is on strategic evaluation and control. So before we proceed with our today's lecture, let's have a quick recap of what we had done from the very beginning, first lecture till the 13th lecture. So far, what we had done, we tried to make you understand that how important the formulation of strategy is. But strategy cannot be formulated in isolation. For this, you need to have a fair idea about the environment. You should have assessed the environment well. You should have gone deeper into the external environment, internal environment, and based on the assessment of external, internal environment, you should be in a position to draw out what are the list of opportunities and the threats and strength and weakness. The moment you're able to figure out these strength, opportunities, threat and weaknesses of the organization, you can create the right permutation combination, and you will also be able to sense out whether the market conditions are favorable for the growth, or a lot of fluctuations are there, or it is unfavorable and we should look for some retrenchment. All these decisions are going to come under the corporate strategy when the top level people are trying to give the correct direction to the organization. So the key issues of the corporate strategy is to give the direction, to do the portfolio assessment, and then finally to perform the parenting of those areas where there is a possibility to take care of. So when you are giving a direction to your organization, you have to foresee exactly the things are going to happen. Is it going to be in the favor of the organization, or you cannot predict what exactly is going to happen, or you are with little having a difficulty to execute the things in the market. So based on that, you will go for retrenchment, growth, stability, and the different the strategies you will be adopting under the direction. And why, with the help of the portfolio analysis, you as a top management will have a fair idea that which all products are leveraging profits to my organization, which one is incurring losses to my organization, and you will take the right call based on that. Further to this, we had discussed that how important it is to come up with the business strategy, because business strategies are formulated for minimizing the complexity of the corporate strategy, because whatever is stated in the form of the corporate may not be clear to the functional level people. They may not get the clarity that what exactly is expected them to perform. So the role of middle level managers come, the business level strategy comes. They try to help the functional level people understand that what exactly is expected them to perform, with the help of taking care of whether to go for cost leadership, or to go for differentiation, or to go for focus cost or focus differentiation. Once it is done, functional level strategies are formulated, and functional level strategies are meant for bringing the things into action. And when you are trying to bring the things into action, you will get to know about a lot of ground realities. You will get feedback, and based on that feedback, you have to be very quick and adaptive in order to incorporate those changes quickly as early as possible. You should have some scenario planning. You should have done the proper strategic choice analysis by the help of feasibility, suitability, acceptability criteria in order to take your call. But all these decisions should not go beyond the ethics. You should keep your integrity high. You should keep your honesty high. You should also be very much clear that transparency and accountability has to be maintained, as per our second lecture, which was on corporate governance. And then we move on to the understanding of importance of the global strategy, because every next country is getting merged with other country because of globalization, LPG, that is the liberalization, privatization and globalization. So as every next company is moving from our country to the foreign country, and the foreign people are investing in our country, so we should also keep our eyes and shoulders open for the foreigners to come to India, and we should also look for some substantial partnership with the foreigner companies. So global strategies are at most important, and under the global strategies, we got to know about the different modes of entering into the international market. One of the easiest and less riskier way is the export. you can go for the direct exporting or you can go for the indirect exporting. There are multiple ways of the FDI, like greenfield investment, greenfield development, brownfield investment. So based on the vision or the mission of the organization, you can take a decision whether to start your business from the scratch or to start your business in the rural area, so that you get the subsidies or the rebate from the government by getting into greenfield development. And if you don't really look for the subsidies, you really look for the best infrastructure, then go for the tier 1 cities of that host country, where you may not get the subsidies but you will get good infrastructure. So with this you can invest in the form of a greenfield investment in a country. But if you really don't want to get into starting the business from the very scratch, you may not be having sufficient fund with you, or you really don't want to take the risk and you want to share your risk with other partners in the host country, then get into some strategic alliance like joint venture, equity strategic alliance, or non-equity strategic alliance. There are mergers, joint ventures, strategic alliances, right? So all these things and acquisition, all these things are going to help you to really take a decision that how you will be entering into the global market. Thereafter, we had to understand that how actually the implementation of strategy has to take place, right? So you have to really have a fair idea about the understanding of the concept that strategy is going to determine the structure. So if you are bringing a change in the strategy and you are not bringing a subsequent change in the structure is going to adversely impact the execution of a strategy. So structural implementation of strategy was seen where we try to understand the various different types of the structure, where we try to see how different structures are going to impact the execution of the strategy. Thereafter, we got to know that functional and behavioral implementation of strategies are also equally important, otherwise they will also create a error for the execution. Like say for example, you ask some department to perform the duty but we are not providing the required resources to them, then in that case the functional implementation error may arise, and this will also leads to the resistance from the side of the worker and may lead to behavioral implementation error, because you are not providing a required raw material to them, and despite of providing any raw material to them, you are expecting them to do a lot for the organization. That's what comes under the behavioral implementation error. So you have to foresee in advance that how you exactly and how smoothly you are going to bring the change in the organization, and for understanding those smooth executions of the change in the organization, we try to understand there are various change models, like Kotler model is there, Lewin model is there, there is a ADKR model is there. So these all different models of bringing the change in the organization really try to make your execution of change very swift, very smooth, and also help the people to have a clear checklist in hand before really bringing the change in the organization. In our previous lecture, we try to foresee with the different steps and the example of the Reliance Jio, how really they brought the change in the market, right? And we also have to appreciate that allocation of the resource is utmost important, because the resources are very scarce in nature, and if you are not taking care of proper allocation of the resources to the right person at the right place at the right time, that means you are misusing with the resources, you are compromising with the quality of the resource, you are overlooking or surpassing the importance of optimum utilization of the resources. So all these things were discussed in our past 13 lecture. I am sure students, you must be going through those lectures. Now we are heading towards the 14th lecture, learning objective. So what are the learning objective of this today's lecture, where we will try to understand the strategic evaluation and control. Under the first learning objective, you will understand the key concept and process of strategic evaluation and control. And second, you will identify and apply strategic evaluation and controlling technique. Let's proceed to our today's lecture. In today's lecture, let us first try to understand what do we mean by strategic evaluation and control. So, strategic evaluation and control refer to the process of assessing whether an organization is following the right strategy and whether the strategies implemented are achieving desired result or not. So, why it is important to evaluate? Because you should question yourself. If you stop questioning yourself, then you are losing the possibility of correcting your course of action in the right time. if you're very stubborn, if you're very egoistic in terms of your approach, and you think that whatever the action, whatever the course of action you have taken, or whatever the strategy you have fixed is going to be 100% successful, if this kind of approach you have as a top manager, then you are mistaken. Every now and then the dynamism of the market is getting changed, and if you are not changing yourself as per the change in dynamism of the market, you are really creating a hindrance for the growth of your organization. And the time when you were executing the strategy, or the time when you were framing the strategy, maybe somewhere years before, maybe 2 years before, and now when actual evaluation or assessment of the strategy has come, the things have gone change, right? So if you are not vigilant about the changes which have took place in the environment, and if you are not keeping a watch over the different checklists or the parameters of assessing the execution of strategy, you are missing out. So first thing, to check whether I'm on track or not, track on the basis of my old checklist. And second, I have to see whether I'm on track or not based on the market trends, right? Is it still applicable to the market or not, or some significant changes have took place in the market? So you need to evaluate, you need to recheck, you need to re-question yourself. And this is the very common saying, that don't believe that whatever you have learned is really going to pave your life, right? You have to keep on relearning and unlearning all those old things, right? So keep on unlearning and keep on relearning in order to survive and sustain in the market. So it is very rightly mentioned here that it is a process of assessing whether an organization is following the right strategy or not. So you keep on questioning yourself. If you are not questioning yourself, you are losing the possibility of surviving in the market. The more you question yourself, the more you will be getting the possible answers to correct or refine your course of actions, and whether the strategies implemented are achieving the desired results. So you must be having some checklist before you are putting forward the particular strategy in the organization. So you have to see whether it is aligned with what you have expected actually at the time of execution of the strategy or not. So then ensure that companies stay on track to meet its objective and adapt when necessary. So if you are having this opinion about your strategy, and you are very flexible enough in terms of seeing the possible changes which are taking place in the market or the scenario, or maybe the working culture or the work environment, earlier you have some other set of the employees, some of the important people have resigned from your organization. So because of the resignation of those important people of your organization, it might have affected the execution of your strategy. And if you don't have the mind to really look into those aspects, do you really think that you will be able to understand that the gap which has come up because of the absence of some of the skilled manpower? So this particular slide is focusing and urging to the people who are the strategic evaluator that whatever you have fixed is not going to really pave your way until and unless you are tweaking your course of action based on the changes which are taking place in the external environment as well as the internal environment. Further, you have to ensure that the strategy which you have executed is matching with your track list or not, is matching with your checklist or not, is it on the track or it has gone down or it has get deviated. So if you are so mindful about two of these essential things, you can assure to get the success in the market. Strategic evaluation and control involve tracking performance, analyzing the results, and making adjustments to the strategy as needed. This is what I was mentioning so far, that whatever the when you are assessing the strategies, when you are evaluating the worth of your strategy, when you are seeing that whether I am on track or not, I have moved on to the right way. If I am moving out on the wrong direction, it is like a derailing, then there is a need to find out why the train got derailed, right? So you have to see that why my strategy which was running on a track all of a sudden get derailed, right? What were the factors responsible for the derailing of my strategy? The moment you got to know about those factors, you try to find out the solution that this kind of the derailing should not take place in near future, right? And that's how you improvise the execution of your strategy. Second is align organizational action with the strategic goal and adjust if there is any deviation. So whatever the organizational actions, you have to ensure that it is aligned with the organizational goals, right? Your strategic action cannot go beyond the ultimate objectives, ultimate vision, mission of the organization. And if you are trying your luck by coming up with a strategy which is against, which is not aligned with the vision, mission and objectives or the goals of the organization, then you are really wasting the resources and the time of the organization, right? So always try to foresee in advance that what is the vision, mission, objectives of the organization. This is what I told you during our early lecture also, that when you are fixing the strategy, you are about to give the correct line of direction to the organization, you again go back to foresee what is the vision of the organization. Vision talks about the tenure or the timeline where you see yourself. It sets that where you are seeing, how you are going to progress, right? After 5 years, where you see yourself, after 10 years, where you see yourself. So vision set that pace, that where exactly you want to see your organization after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And second is your mission. Mission talks about the reason of existence of the organization. Goals are the thoughts and ideas of the organization, right? When you put those things which are non-measurable in the form of an objective, it becomes a quantifiable, it becomes measurable, that is your objective. So if you don't have the clarity of the vision, mission, objectives and the goals of the organization, do you really think you will be bringing a right strategy for the organization? You might be coming up with some strategy which is good but not for this organization. So if you really want to come up with a strategy which is good for this organization, you have to align the strategy with the vision, mission, objectives and the goal of this current organization, not just merely thinking that this strategy is good, let me execute it. And if you are trying this, you are just trying your luck, you are just wasting the time and resources of the organization, doing nothing more than that. It is spanned across various levels like the corporate, business and the functional strategy. So everyone is doing the assessment, everyone is doing the evaluation. It's not just that evaluation is taking place at a functional level. Even the top management people who has framed their corporate strategy, under the corporate strategies there is a directional strategy. As I told you earlier, there are 3 different levels of the strategy, or the key issues of the corporate people. One is the directional strategy. Second one is the portfolio. Third one is the parenting. So when you are doing the assessment or evaluation of a corporate strategy, you try to see whether the directional strategy was correct or not. So there are 3 key issues under the direction also. One is your growth strategy, second is your stability strategy, and the fourth one is your retrenchment strategy. So if you are in the process of evaluation of your corporate strategy, you try to foresee whether I took the right decision or not. Say for example, you give a direction of a stability, and that too under the stability you give the strategy of a no change, that this time we will not be bringing any change in the product or the process or the business model of my organization. I will not bring any change because we are not very much sure about how market will take the shape, how the technology evolution or the disruption is going to impact the organization. So we are confining ourselves to no change. So did that course of action has really helped my organization to sustain its position or not? So you really have to question back yourself that whatever the decision I took, right, maybe a year before, maybe a 6 month before, maybe 2 years before, is it that evaluation, that particular decision was worth it to take or not, has helped my organization to sustain its position or not? So this kind of the assessment is very important. Similarly, in case of the business strategy, we come to know that there are 3 different levels of the strategy. One is the cost leadership, second one is the differentiation, and the fourth one is focus towards cost and focus towards differentiation. So when we took the decision of a cost leadership, we did take a call based on the strategy of the organization. We took the call on the cost leadership. So that cost leadership decision is paving my way or not, has helped me to sustain my position or not. Are we still gaining the leadership in the market or not? Are we able to get the lesser per unit cost of production or not? So you have to question. This is what we call it evaluation. So whatever the decision you took when you were framing the strategy, like a corporate strategy, when you were framing the business strategy, or when you were framing the functional strategy, you have to question yourself that that decision was correct or wrong. If that decision was wrong, don't ashamed of accepting your failure. Don't ashamed of accepting your incorrect decisions, right? Until unless you accept your mistake, you won't be able to get the scope or possibility to improvise your course of action for the next tenure. If you continue to really wear the mask and keep on mentioning and yelling loudly upon other that whatever I took the decision was correct, but it got failed because of the execution people, it got failed because of the functional level people. But the truth is known to everyone in the organization, and people will start disconnecting to your organization. People stop engaging in themselves to your organization and will start looking for some other organization. So it's always advisable to accept your mistake and bring the required rectification as early as possible. Then comes to the understanding of the various barriers in the strategic evaluation and control. So one first important barrier is a lack of clear matrix. Most of the time people are not having a clear matrix like KPI. They don't have a balanced scorecard in their hand. They don't have a checklist against what I have to check. Like in our previous slide, I was talking of that we have 3 parameters to take into consideration while giving the direction. So we should know that when I will be giving a growth direction, what are the factors which will be responsible for giving the growth direction. So we will be asking my organization to grow when conditions are favorable. Now what does that favorable means to you? What kind of the factors will make you feel favorable? So you have to mention those factors. Like if political environment, maybe the political environment is favorable to my organization, the law and order is favorable to my organization, the socio-cultural environment is favorable to my organization. So if all these factors are favoring my organization, then I may say it is a favorable condition, and if it is a favorable condition, I will ask my organization to go for the growth. And under the growth, we may look for the concentration and the diversification, right? And again, you have to take a decision whether if this particular favorable condition is going to help me to get more success in a favorable condition, then go for the concentration. If this favorable condition is making me giving me the opportunity for diversification, then take a call whether to go for concentric diversification or to go for a conglomerate diversification. So all these decisions are going to happen when you have a clear matrix in your hand. When you don't have a clear matrix that what exactly you are doing, what are the factors which are making you to take these decisions, and once you took this decision, what are the ways of evaluating the performance of this decision. So you have to have some base, you should have some fundamental grounds, right? On what fundamental grounds I took the decision of a concentration, what were the fundamental grounds on which I took the decision of concentric diversification or a conglomerate diversification. So you have to have a basis, you have to have some ground based on which you will be taking certain decisions. And the moment you took the decision, you have to have your checklist in your hand, that once it is start executing, these are the things I want to see. That if I will be concentrating, I would like to check my performance of a company based on the market share, right? Whether I am increasing the market share or not, right? My customer loyalty I will check, right? So you have to fix your parameters, that on what basis you will be checking whether this strategy of the concentration is paving your way or not. So you will be assessing your market share pre and post, right? Before the execution of this concentration strategy in this particular market or in this particular segment, my market share was suppose 4.5%. Now after executing this strategy, my market share started increasing from 4.5 to 4.6, 4.56 maybe, just slightly slightly it has increased, but it is increasing, right? So this will give you a sense that I am moving on the right track, right? My train is not derailed, I am on the track. So this kind of a matrix is very important. If you don't have a matrix in advance, you will never be able to understand whether I am moving on a track or my train is derailed. So lack of clear matrix is one of the barrier of a strategic evaluation and control. Another barrier is the resistance to change. Most of the time it has been observed that people are not ready to change themselves, because everyone, let it be you or me, everyone wants to live in comfort zone. Do you really think that we feel like coming out from a comfort zone? Answer is no. So we have to push ourselves, we have to push our brain really to come out from a comfort zone and start doing certain things which is not in our normal course of function, which we normally does not do, right? So resistance to change is the thing which has to be dealt with lot of care, because here you have to deal with the psychology of the manpower, right? If the psychology of the manpower is not dealt well, then there is a possibility the people may show their resistance, they may start raising the voice, they may start leaving the organization, they may start creating some nuances in the organization which is not good for the growth or the reputation or the image of the organization. So for overcoming this, organization should look for a best leader in the organization. Leadership abilities has to really work on, you have to work on improving the leadership abilities. Better your leaders are, the possibility of the resistance to change will go down. If the leadership ability is not there, if the leaders are not having a good communication skills, if they are not having a good convincing power, if they have no feeling for the other people, they are not emotionally intelligent, there is a possibility there will be lot of repercussions or the maybe the resistance from the side of the worker. So if you want your workers should pose less resistance to whatever the change you are bringing in the organization, you should focus on leader instead of a worker. So if a leader is sound, if a leader knows how to handle the mindset of the employees very delicately, because you are dealing with the human psychology, so you need to have a very delicacy in your way of approach while dealing with the manpower, with the employees, because they are the workers, they are the human being, they are spending 1/4 the span of their life in the work for working in the organization. So you should have some delicacy towards them. You try to win the willingness of the worker to do the job for your organization instead of posing the things upon your worker. So a good leader is going to be the best thing for your organization to smoothly bring the change in the organization, and they are going to be the one who can handle any mindset of the people. They are the one who can swiftly bring the willingness from the side of the worker, and they really don't have to impose, they really don't have to really ask the people to do this task or that task. You will see when a leader is good, workers are self-motivated, workers themselves would like to do the job without any thought of getting certain things in the return. They are ready to work free of cost for the organization. So that kind of emotional intelligence and the social intelligence these leaders are going to bring in the organization. So resistance to change can be worked out with the help of a right leadership, and this barrier of a strategic evaluation can also be overcome, because a lot of time it has been observed people try to hide their facts and figure. Right, suppose my organization is not doing well, I will try to hide the records and facts and figure of my department, and I'll try to pose the difficulty is coming from the procurement department. Suppose I am running a production department and I'm a head of the production department, and my production department not able to meet out the target of production of 1000 units. Right, so now either I as a production head should admit the fact that I failed to produce 1000 unit, but I will not do so. What I will be trying to do, I will try to play the blame game, and I will try to fix the issue that this all these things happen because of the delay in supply of a raw material, all these things happen because of the fluctuation in the electricity, all this thing happen because of the breakdown in a machinery, all this happened because the leader were not able to convince the employees, all this happened because of XYZ, and number of the reasons are going to be given, and you are not ready to accept that this is your mistake as a head of the department. You fail to visualize and analyze that you will not be able to attain 1000 unit of production. So this also create a resistance to the change in the organization. and this mindset also need to be changed, and only a good leader of the organization can bring such kind of a changes in the organization. Next is your inadequate information system, poor data quality, reporting system can impair effective evaluation. So most of the organization where proper database management system is not there, they are not working on they are not having their own ID department which is managing the data. This issue of poor quality data management is there. They might be doing all the things, but if they don't have any data to really retrieve, they don't know who is going to furnish which data. So this kind of a problem will also leads to a issue of proper evaluation. So you need to make people responsible for the management of the data of the organization. Ask each and every head of the department to maintain their own file, and based on their file, ask the overall department or maybe the IT department to club the information of all the various departments and create the big data for the entire organization for further analysis and diving deep into the gaps of the organization. Next is overemphasis on financial metrics, right? Focusing too much on financial results without considering the other performance aspect is also become a one-sided view of the top management. Most of the organization perceive that if I'm having a tenure, if I am in my tenure, I could increase the turnover of my organization, the financial turnover of my organization. That's how I can show that my organization is growing, or that's how I can show that my organization is performing well. But they are missing out one of the very essential element, that turnover of the organization is not the only parameter to check the success of the organization. You also should check the well-being of the employees. You should also check the job satisfaction of your employees. You should also check the customer satisfaction level. Customers might not be having much options, that's why they might be purchasing your product. The moment they get some other better option, they will switch. You should have other metrics also in order to do the correct assessment of your organization. If you are confining yourself to some of the factors which are related to the finance only, then other essential factors like the employee well-being, like the customer well-being, like the stakeholder well-being are going to be get compromised, and these factors are going to really help you to improvise the wealth of the organization. Finance are important for improvising the profitability of the organization, but profitability may not last for long. So if you want to really last your organization for longer span of the time, what you need to see that your customers are happy in your organization or not. Are they willing to buy your product? Are they looking for your products to come in the market? Are they waiting for your product to come in the market? How much loyal they are? What is the frequency of their buying? And this particular data and this particular matrix is really going to pave the way for the organization. Second thing, you have to see that my employees, how happy they are, how many years they are working with us, right? Who is the oldest employee in my organization? I should start giving some reward and recognition to that employee who is the oldest one, right? How many people are staying for, on an average, what is the stay of the employees in my organization, right? What is their contribution? How I can get maximum from my experienced employees in the organization? Such kind of a database or such kind of a matrix or the checklist should also be there in the organization. Apart from this, you should also check what kind of the societal impact you are creating, how you are serving the society, how you are serving the downtrodden class of a people, how you are serving the destitutes of the market, right? So you have to have various other way of checking the growth or the success of the organization, not merely the turnover of the company. Next comes is your short-term focus, that is overlooking long-term goal in the favor of the short-term result, right? Most of the time organization becomes so greedy in terms of the immediate gratification. They look for short-term success instead, and they try to overlook or surpass the importance of the long-term impact of the thing. This is what I was just telling you, that people may focus on the financial results, and the financial results are the short-term results, and if you try to focus on the wealth of the organization, that will lead to the long-term goal of the organization. So for most of the time, organization are just confining their way of assessment based on the financials of the organization, based on the financial turnover of the organization, rather than, which is a short-term goal, rather than focusing on the long term, which is coming from the side of the employee well-being, customer well-being, society well-being, right? Now let us look at the different roles of the strategic evaluation and control, that how exactly it is going to help the top management. So it is going to give the guidance, right, that what you are going to expect from the strategy, what should be the outcomes of the strategy. So before you are bringing the execution of the strategy, you are getting the idea that what I will be getting at the end. The way you get the idea in the very beginning of the lecture, that what are the learning objectives, what are the learning outcomes. Similarly, the strategic evaluation is going to give the clear guidelines to the people that if you are going to execute this strategy, these are the things you will be getting in the form of the outcome. So guiding strategic implementation, strategic evaluation, control, ensure the strategies are executed as planned, because you have a fair idea that where I'm heading to, what I will be getting at the end, right? So this strategic evaluation and control is going to lead you to that thing. And the next is decision making support, that provide necessary insight to adjust the strategies or make the new decisions. So when you are having a clarity that what are the checklist of my organization, right? So while you are making the short term goals and the long term goal, when you are listing them out, you get lot of avenues in your mind that, oh, this thing which I have never thought of, let me also try to put it in my checklist and see how it is going to create an impact in the organization, and see whether this thing is happening in my organization or not. So if I want to check the average stay of the employees in my organization and how much they are contributing, but I have never thought of this, then when you start thinking about the employee well-being, when under the employee well-being you start creating the checklist, you got to know that this is an essential point or the parameter to check the employee happiness in the organization, or the happiness index of the employees, or the job satisfaction level of an employee could easily be assessed based on their average station stay in the organization. And how much they have contributed is also going to let you know that in future if you have to go for retrenchment, then which particular method of retrenchment you should adopt, last in first out or first in first out. So based on the understanding that how much contribution the experienced people of your organization are contributing, you can take a lot of other decisions. A lot of things are going to get in your platter to serve whenever you will in need of. So always keep ready with the required and essential data, so it help you in taking the right decisions. And not necessary at that moment, you may require that particular outcome or the report, maybe at the time of some contingency, or maybe at the time when some atrocity or uncontingency arises and the things which you were not planned for. Next is your feedback mechanism. Act as a feedback loop, right? You can let the people know whether they are performing well, and if they are performing well, this can become their performance indicator and can help you to appreciate and appraise them. If there are certain gaps, you can ask them to go for training, you can ask them to look for job rotation or other thing. Guiding the organization toward the corrective actions and as and when required, right? So it is going to help the organization to take the corrective course of action based on the feedback. If they're getting a positive feedback, they would be rather happy to execute the same thing unless it get obsolete. And if they are realizing there is some need of corrections in it, they will be in a position to incorporate those required changes. And if they will also get the feedback about each and every individual, not only as a whole about the organization, as a whole about the department, they can also dive deep into individual performance, how an individual worker working in the organization contributing in accomplishment of the strategy of the organization. The next is sustaining comparative advantage, help in ensuring that a strategic direction leads to a sustained success of the organization. So sustainability can only be attained when you have a long-term vision. When you are not having a long-term vision and you are just aspiring for earning the profit, you cannot sustain in the market for longer span of the time. So if your focus is for the long term and you are focusing on generating the wealth or creation of the wealth in the market, then only you can expect to be a sustainable. So the strategic evaluation is going to give you the highlights that how you can survive and sustain in the market for a longer span of the time. After this, let's look at who all are the participants in the strategic evaluation and control. So it's not like that the strategic evaluation is going to take place only at the top level people. It is also going to take place at the employee level. So Actually, it starts first from the level of the employee. Each and every employee is getting some or the other target, and if employees are accomplishing those target on a daily basis, whatever the target being given to them, suppose every employee in the organization is having a target to at least produce 2 products a day, and they are doing so, do you think there will be a gap in the accomplishment of the target? Answer is no. So if at the ground level employees are performing and they are attaining the target whatever given to them, there will be no need of a control, because everyone is performing the way they are supposed to. So they when you will be evaluating the performance of the employees, you will got to know that every performance of the employees at par. They were asked to produce 2 products on a daily basis, and every employees were doing it. As a result, the production target was met, and the moment production target was met, marketing and other department has also accomplished the targets. They were able to sell it on time, they could generate the demand, and they could really get the sales from the market. So each and every employee, whatever the roles and responsibility assigned to them in the production department, be it in a marketing department, be it in a finance, HR department, procurement department, production department, IT department, whatever the department you are in, you must have some roles and responsibility to perform. So if you are doing it, then that means you are already in a controlled way, you are working in a controlled manner, you are achieving all the targets. So there will be no need of executing any harsh course of action against any of the employee. There is no need of a concern for the top management to really worry that we are not able to achieve the targets of the organization, but provided the strategy which you has executed is realistic, right? It is on the basis of that feasibility, suitability, acceptability criteria, and you have provided the required resources to the employees. These are the prerequisite things, right? You need to ensure your strategy, your target, whatever the target you are giving to your employee, whatever the strategy you have set is realistic in nature, and based on the requirement of the execution of strategy, what all different resources are needed, you have provided those resources to your employees, and then see how employees are giving the results in a very beautiful manner to you. But if you are having an unrealistic expectation from them, like say for example, if a particular worker can normally produce 1 product and you ask them to produce 2 products, okay fine, they can stretch a little bit. But if you are asking them to produce 10 products a day, then is it possible? Answer is no. So don't set unrealistic target unnecessarily. Otherwise, what will happen? You will create lot of dissatisfaction, demotivation among the people, and the worker may feel like that I am good for nothing, I am not able to accomplish the thing. This will lower down their morale will go down, and as a result, the ambience or the maybe the working environment or the culture is full of stress, anxiety, frustration among the people, because they are not able to accomplish the target, and every now and then leader is yelling upon them, scolding the worker, will create a very tough time for the people to survive, and they may start leaving the organization, and your cost of recruitment, selection, training will go up, right? So very important is to ensure that everything is getting covered up by the employees only. So the first level of the correction, the first level or the first level from where the evaluation or control should take place is ideally the employee, right? Then it's your functional level. Then functional level people, that is your head, the production department head has to see that each and every people in the organization are working well or not, are they able to accomplish, and they also have to find out which particular worker is struggling to attain the target, right? Being a head of the department, you should be vigilant enough in order to foresee that out of all these 50-60 employees who are working in the production department, these 5 people are really struggling to do the production. So there is a need of some training, there is a need of some counseling, there is a need of some job rotation. They may not be fit person for this particular kind of a job. Try to find out to give them some other job. So you as a head has to find out employee as a resource is well utilized or not. If any out of the 50, any 5 employees are not finding that job is aspiring to them, or job is challenging to them, or they are not able to perform the task because of lack of training or because of lack of interest, then you have to try to fix that issue at the earliest. Otherwise, these 5 people will add as an additional cost to the organization. So control implementation at a operational level, finance, marketing, and all the different other department has to perform this task. Then next is your middle management, that responsible for evaluating specific department and the business unit. So middle level management will be taking care of all the department. They will try to foresee that whether each and every department is performing or not. Like in the case of functional department, the functional manager, like production is doing, head is doing for production department, marketing head is doing for marketing department, finance head is doing for finance department. Now the middle level management has to foresee all the different departments they are having in the organization in order to see whether each and every department is in position to perform the work as per the target given to them or not. If the answer is coming that yes, they are performing as per the target given to them, there must be a checklist of all the department. They are going to foresee whether the procurement department able to do it or not, production department able to do it or not, marketing department able to do it or not. So they are going to cross check and validate, and if everyone is at par, well and good. If anyone is struggling, they are going to question them, they are going to sit with them, they are going to counsel them, they are going to do some brainstorming with them. There may be the possibility that whatever the middle level manager has asked them to perform might not be as per the target, or might not be as per the availability of the resources or the things in the organization. So they will be cross checking and validating whether each and every department of my organization is at par or not. So middle level management is going to prepare the report after doing the assessment of all the department, and that report will goes to the top management. And now top management is going to provide the vision and evaluate the overall strategic direction. So top management is going to see whether whatever we are attaining is aligning with our vision still or not. But this practice has to be done quite in the early when you are framing the strategy. That is already done, right? When you were framing the strategy, you have seen whether the alignment of a strategy is there with the vision, mission, objective or not. At the time when we were doing the assessment of feasibility, suitability, acceptability, at that point of time also we did the alignment of the strategy with the vision, mission and objective. Once it is done, again when you are getting the results, again you have to foresee how much I am able to attain. Suppose I target to attain a market share up for maybe the 6%, right, from 1% to 6%. Right, and suppose in the year 5 years, we are planning for the 5 year, the vision is of 5 year, and within a 5 year we want to increase our market share from 1% to 6%. So after the end of this current financial year, is I am improving myself or not, from 1% to 2% or not. If I am not able to attain that much percentage of the growth, or at least of 1% of enhancement in the growth, I cannot expect that I will be able to attain 6% of growth in the next 5 years. So there has to have some incremental changes, there has to have some incremental growth of the organization, and that this is what going to be perceived by the top management, whether they are in a position to attain the vision, and then they are going to overall evaluate. If not able to attain that particular vision, then they will try to evaluate where the things went wrong, right? If where I miss out, so they are going to rework on giving the correct direction to the organization, that I must try to question that where things were not taking the correct shape, and that's how they'll try to control over the deviations. Now let's look at the different strategic evaluation models or the methods, like balance scorecard. This is also going to create a good method of assessment of the overall evaluation of the organization. As I told you, that balance scorecard is going to create a matrix or the list of the things which everyone should evaluate and check, and this is going to give you a ready hand material to see whether you are progressing or you are off track. So evaluate the performance for the from the four perspective, like finance, customer, internal process and the learning and growth. So you are going to create a complete checklist of the finance, whether we are getting return on investment or not, right? We cannot totally negate the growth of the financial aspect. We have to really we will not be able to survive without the financial growth, without the profits of the organization, but that's not the only parameter to do the assessment. We have to foresee how customers are responding, responding, what is the retention level of the customer, what are the loyalty level, are they hardcore loyal or they are the switchers, right? You have to see the frequency of buy of the customer. Then you have to see your internal processors, like how you are improving the internal process, like how you have improvised the quality of the production, how you have improvised the different steps which you are taking for do the production, how you have improvised the cost of per unit cost of production, right? Are you learning new ways or new technologies like IoT, blockchain, AI, cloud computing? Are you making use of those advancements of technology in the production process? So how good you are in adapting with the changes which is taking place, right? So all that comes under the balance scorecard, and if the answers of all these balance scorecard are in favor of the organization, that means your growth is balanced. Otherwise there is a need to work on bringing the balance. It help align individual, departmental and the organizational goal flourish and run in the same way. Next strategic evaluation method is your KPI. You are going to set certain key performance indicators of the various department. It measures the efficiency of achieving the strategic objective, like it can be the financial profits, revenue. For non-financial, the customer satisfaction or the employee performance are also going to come under the KPIs, right? So these are the factors which you have to take into consideration while you are evaluating, and these KPIs, these metrics are going to be a handy material for the people to see whether we are on track or off track. Another way, you can have some benchmarking, and that benchmark is going to help you to see whether you able to achieve the target or not. Say for example, you want to attain the market share of 2%. Are you able to attain the market share of 2%? If answer is yes, you were on track. If you miss out, then what are the reasons? What were the gaps, right? Suppose you were you able to attain only 1.8% instead of the 2%, right? So this was not attained, you able to attain this much. So there is a difference of 0.2%, and what is the reason of it, right? So try to find out the reason, and the moment you find out the reason and you try to find out, this cause and effect analysis is going to pave your way in order to overcome the problems in the near future. SWOT analysis is another way based on which you can figure out that what should be my target and what should not be, because I always mentioned in our previous study that strength and opportunities, the right permutation combination should be fixed, right? If certain opportunities are there which are matching with your strength, you should fix the strength for grabbing the opportunity, and if there are certain weakness or threats, just ignore them. Just try to work on amplifying the font size of the strength so that you grab the opportunity, and more you keep on grabbing the opportunity, the font size of weakness will keep on going down, threats will keep on minimizing, right? And your strength and opportunity permutation combination is going to pave your way. So assess the internal strength, weakness as well as the external opportunities and threat, help in identifying the area where strategy needs some adjustment, right? So you can fix your strategy based on the opportunities available, and you have to foresee how you're going to make use of your strength in order to encash that particular opportunity. Then next comes is your strategic gap analysis. Identify the gap between the current performance and the strategic goal. It helps to prioritize your course of action, and you can easily close the loops, or you can easily close the gap by having a complete assessment of where the gaps are coming and what are the reasons the gap are coming. So strategic gap analysis is also that you try to attain this much and why you were not able to attain. This is what comes under the strategic gap analysis. So there are certain controlling techniques also, like financial control, right? If you are finding some gaps are there, some financial targets are not able to attain, then what you will be trying to do, you will try to execute some financial control. If it is some gaps are coming from the finance, if some gaps are coming from the operation, you will apply what? Operational control. If some gaps are coming from the behavioral side or the behavior of the employees or the mindset of the people working in the organization, then you will be applying the behavioral control. So let's quickly look at the financial control. Use financial statements like income state, balance sheet to evaluate the performance. Common technique like budgetary control, ratio analysis, variance analysis, all these things are going to help you to overcome the gaps in the finances. And if you are getting the problem of operations, then how you will be controlling it? So ensure the day-to-day operation are well aligned with the strategic plan. Include the production schedule, quality control and the process audit. Keep on auditing your performance and keep on identifying that where the possible gaps are there, and based on that you can overcome the issues of the operation. And if some behavioral issues are arising, focus on monitoring the behavior and actions of the employee, and you may have better leader in the organization. Start giving some reward, start having some control, start having a leadership involvement. This will help you to overcome the problem of the behavioral issues of the employees in the organization. Another control which you can apply if some deviations are there, that is a feed forward. Feed forward is predicting in advance that this may happen, right? So predict and prevent the problem before it occurs. So prevention is always better than the cure. If this kind of a mindset you are holding, you should look for feed forward. Try to do some pilot testing, try to foresee that if this thing is going to happen, how it is going to give the reaction from the side of the customer, how the government is going to react on this, how my employees are going to react to this, how my competitors or my rivals are going to react to this. So involve setting up preventive measures to avoid potential challenges, right? Then comes your feedback. Feedback is a little reactive in nature, right? So if something had happened, and then on that basis you will be taking a course of action, wherein feed forward is a very proactive approach. You try to foresee things in advance. Monitor and adjust ongoing process after the results are received. Allow for adjustment and corrective actions to improve the strategic execution. So once you got to know these are the problem, these are the failures, and you start working on overcoming those failures. So this is a reactive. This is more towards the action. This is towards the react. This is the feedback is like a reaction, right? There is a control process, like establish the standard, measure the actual performance, compare with the standard, take corrective actions, and monitor the effect of the action. Now let's quickly look at with the graph that how you are really going to have a process. Say for example, on the x-axis we are measuring the performance of employee, and the performance of employee is in unit of production, right? So this x-axis is talking about this. On the y-axis, time in days, right? So this is a 0 day, and this is the 10 unit production, 20 unit production, 30 unit production, 40 unit production, 50, 60. Likewise, 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, 40 days, 50 days. Suppose you have recently joined the organization and they have given you a training. This is your 10 days of training period. You have received the training for 10 days, 0 to, that means the day you joined, and till the 10th day you got the training. And from the 10th day, your head, production head, is expecting you to do the production of 35 within the, suppose in the 28 days, 48 units. So in 28 days he want you to produce how many units? 40 units. This is the expectation of the production head from the performance of the employee who has just joined the organization. After giving a 10 days of training to him, he is expecting that after 28 days, I want to see whether you are in position to produce 40 units or not. And the worker start performing. Suppose worker is doing good job, and slightly there is a deviation, right? Now what is going to happen here? What you could see that there is a deviation, and this deviation is what? He could do it in 19 days. He able to attain 40 units of production in 90 days. That means he has attained the target even in lesser time. So this is a very good thing, right? So he get a sense that if I'll be providing a training to my employees of 10 days, then their performance increase substantially, right? I was expecting them to perform in 28 days, but to produce the 40 units, but they managed to produce it in 19 days. So vice versa is also possible, that you were expecting them to produce 40 units in 10 days, but they failed to produce this much. right? So vice versa is also, but here this is a very good equation or the situation where we see that a worker provided a required training on time at the time the person joined, and then they assess whether the person is in a position to produce 40 units in a 28 days. 28 days considered to be a substantial number of the days, but he managed to produce in 90 days. So this gap is a very good gap, and it is giving a window for the top management to rethink about setting the days limit for the production of 40 units. There are certain management by exception also, like focus on identifying significant deviations from the established norm or expected. Managers only intervene when there is a discrepancy, otherwise they are not going to intervene into day-to-day course of action. So this is what going to come under the management by exception. So what are the benefits? Save time for manager and encourage autonomy at the lower level. And when it to use when the situation is not as per the routine. If people are working well, if they are working as per the target given to them, do you really think there is a need of any control over them? There is no need. Let the people work the way they are working. So the key takeaways for today's lecture is that by this I'm sure you people are understanding that it is very important to overcome the resistance to change, and you should also understand that proper and timely evaluation of strategy and control is at most important to overcome the possibility of big failure for the organization. So thank you for today. For further reading class, you can refer to this book. Thank you.